Hola Madridistas. Welcome to the fifth La Liga preview of the year. Yeah, it is the fifth one. And
Yeah.
this is going to be a big one, guys. And it is the first big kind of home game of the season. And we're all super psyched for it. And we've had a lot of time to, take in the last few weeks and see how the team played, analyze, and, come at it from a straight point of view rather than just play with emotions. But yeah, Farooq, are you playing with emotions? What's going on in your life right now?
Man, let's see what's going on in my life out of the whole, out of the whole picture. Let's just stay within, what's happening on the pitch. We don't need to bother about what happens to me off the pitch. But yeah, we're bit by bit, clicking into that, not into motion, but like, we're clicking into that thing that always happens with Carlo Ancelotti, where his teams, kind of play for the first part of the season, at least for the early part of the season, and they're almost invincible. And then, we just have to wait to see how they perform at the other part of the season. So, it's given similar vibes to what we've seen, across his stints at Real Madrid, at least, because we remember last year how good the start was. And also, we also had, I think in 2014 as well, we had a streak where we had 22, winning streak games and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So yeah, right now, I would say, let's not get into the emotions here. Let's just sit down, buckle our belts, fasten our belts, sit belts, and sit tight. And just this is the beginning of the ride. We need to see,
Mhm.
after we get to the peak, how do we keep going, or do we come down crashing to earth? So yeah, man, no emotions yet, man. Just play
Mhm.
clear and ahead, clear as possible, man, as clear as a cloud or the
Yeah,
skies without a cloud.
I mean, yeah, that's the answer I was expecting as well. Like you're the most pragmatic man I know, and
Come on, how am I the most pragmatic man?
uh,
You do not know enough people, then that's the thing.
yeah, yeah. Anyways, but I did want to ask you this. Just judging from the last four games, and you touched upon this as well, that we generally start our seasons very, very well, and in the mid part of it, we kind of fall off, or maybe it's towards the start of the January transfer window. That's when we kind of fall off. But have you felt as secure as previous years? Do you actually believe in this team more than previous years?
Nah, actually, it's quite the opposite. I'm actually much more worried.
Much more, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually a bit more worried than I would be because, like, I mean, in the past, I always had that, X factor, be it Karim Benzema or Cristiano Ronaldo. Right now, I just don't see that. I mean, Vinicius, is he gonna be that? I'm not honestly sure, and I don't want to, put unnecessary expectations, there. But I just feel like right now, like we are still missing that one piece, that I would say in previous years were there, just like, the team wasn't utilized in the perfect way, or like, we have burnout or injuries or something like that. But
Mhm.
I honestly believe if I have a fit team, 100% fit team, I just don't see myself getting past, the people who knocked us out last year. So this is the reason why, because for me, at least after the first leg, I was really optimistic that we could go to, England and get something,
Yeah.
But this time around, like, I will not come here and like be like, oh yeah, shit. I mean, okay, yeah, we're gonna talk. Like, obviously, when there's life, there is hope. Like, you always have a fighter's chance. It's Real Madrid. Like, we always have a chance in every single game. We go into. Well, like personally, like, do I have, you know, a lot of, do I feel more comfortable than I was last season? Definitely not.
I feel like a part of that discomfort, I hear a lot of fans voice that as well, including me to a certain extent. It's because this team is such an unknown property. We just don't know their ceiling yet. And, like you said, only in games like these and in the coming weeks will we kind of understand how the team will totally play out throughout the season. And this is just considering the fact that all of these guys have to remain fit. We just don't have a
True.
great second team anymore. Yeah. It is what it
And
is,
actually,
man.
that's the thing, right? That's the thing. It's quite interesting because I look at the games and I don't see a game where I will say, "Holy God, what was that?"
Yeah.
You know, it's a game where, like, it's just a scrappy win. It's Jude, just being in the right place at the right time, without actually any application. Because with all honesty, take away the goals the players have been scoring. Like, I would say to you, like, if you take away the goals from all the players, maybe Rodrigo is the best player that has been there, and he hasn't scored. He is the one at least that tries to, create a bit of, I don't know, excitement, entertainment, something here and there. But honestly, like, I am still, looking for that performance. Like, I feel like right now we still haven't gotten that performance yet, which is, I think, will be the word that this will be the difference rather that I would say I've seen in previous years. Because, like, at least to my knowledge, as much as I can remember, like with Carlo Ancelotti, and this very good stats that we always had was that we blew teams out of the water. Like, we really played really well in certain games. But right now, I just see, like, we already developed that. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but, like, we already developed, that we're not gonna lose attitude from the start. Like, okay, it doesn't matter even if we play well or we play. We're not in the business of playing well. Eventually, we're just here to get the 3 points and move on. You
Right.
understand? This is, I think, one of the difference I would say I've seen is that, like, the team is more, it's more like, well, okay, we're just gonna win by all means. It's by hook or by crook, whatever the means is. We're just gonna get the 3 points and get out of here. We really don't care about how to, what is gonna happen on lack thereof. But, like, in previous years, at least, at the first start of the season, we always see, like, breaking at pace, scoring 3, 4 goals and stuff like that. Obviously, now without a striker, so it makes it much more difficult. But I think everything goes back to what you said, Jacob. Like, that's unknown quantity, because as they say, like, the devil is better than the angel you don't know. So we will choose the familiarity always as human beings. So, like, that unknown territory that we are in right now is what actually makes everything a bit more interesting and scary at the same time.
Exactly, man. Like, this team is gonna go through growing pains, and we're gonna be there for all of it. It's just that for the last 10 years we've been playing the 4-3-3, and suddenly you ask this team to play something else. Of course, you're gonna see them running around like headless chickens for a bit, but after that, when it really clicks, if it clicks, it's gonna be beautiful.
Fingers crossed, bro. Fingers crossed.
Right. Before we get into the whole preview and discuss Sociedad, I'll just like to bring up one of the chats. So Dutcher is here. He says, "Hala Madrid." Big up, Dutcher. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Hassan is here as well, and he's already pointing out one of the bigger matchups: Kubo versus Carvajal. That's going to be an interesting one. But compared to last season, I'm just a lot more confident with that matchup for us at least. But on the other flip side, Kubo is on a hot run of form, which we'll be discussing soon. Yeah, but let's just get right into it. So, Farooq, have you been able to watch Sociedad or just follow some of the news so far?
Unfortunately, no, I haven't seen, but I know about, like, the hot run of form that Kubo is currently on. But honestly, I haven't seen Sociedad that much. And I mean, it goes like, I mean, that's just the person I am. Honestly, like, I will never, I'm not the person who actually watches La Liga, honestly, outside of Real Madrid, unless it's a very, very big game. I mean, honestly, like, I'm not someone who invests a lot of time in La Liga, so, like, I wouldn't say, I haven't seen Real Sociedad, to be honest. But, like, yeah, about Kubo, like, obviously I have, been keeping tabs because he's someone that, potentially can be of interest to us at a certain point in time in the future.
Certain point in time. I feel like he burnt a few bridges when he left, but then it's always in the end about the money and the fame, right? So
Burned a few
whatever.
bridges. I mean, this people. One thing I've come to understand across the past 18 months is that these people really don't care. These footballers, you understand? It's we the fans that actually care. Like, we are the ones that really, bother about, oh, this is happening, that is happening, this is, nah. The fans don't care. I mean, I don't know if you're aware, but, like, Quadrado literally left Juventus to go to Inter Milan.
That's true.
These are Inter Milans that have a chant that literally insults Quadrado's mother. They have a chant about this.
Yeah.
So, like, this is the thing. Like, it's just about us fans, honestly. Like, when it comes to these players, like, they really don't care. Honestly, they really don't care. So that's why, I just feel like, I mean, otherwise, do you think we'll still be in, okay, yeah, Mbappe is a different tier player, but do you think we'll still be in the market for that guy if, these guys really cared about this? Obviously, they don't care about it. We, the fans, are the ones, who create force and all these things and, stuff like that. But other than that, like, really, like, because for me, I feel like, Kubo and I think maybe Odegaard as well is someone that you might want to, I really do think maybe there might be a chance there, but obviously because the way about it will be stuck right now, maybe it doesn't work with Odegaard, maybe it works, because everything right now is just an unknown. element, honestly. So you don't know what's going to happen in the next 6 to 18 months. So it's just something to wait and see. But honestly, I do believe that if Kubo continues, to this upward trajectory, especially on the right wing, which is, and I'm just mentioning that on the right wing, I think that's really important because right now, like our right wing is almost non-existent.
Yeah. I guess before we like even talk about Sociedad, let's like just get right into Kubo since you already got started. So Hassan brings up a good point here. So he asks, why didn't we bring Kubo back and instead brought back Brahim Diaz? It gives me headache.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, I mean, Kubo wasn't willing and is not willing to be what, Brian Diaz is right now. Diaz hasn't gotten even a sniff. And let's not forget, like, it's not like, Kubo became this overnight. Kubo was very, very frustrating at Mallorca, even at Sociedad last year as well, He was hot and cold. Obviously, like, okay, maybe we can, say Diaz was also a very frustrating player as well, but that's the thing, like, I believe that it was either one of the two, and Kubo was already gone last year, and I guess it's gonna even cost more to bring him back. But for Diaz, it was just a straight up bringing back free. There was no transfer fee involved and anything like that. So I think the finances also made sense for Diaz to come back, and also I think the prominent role that Kubo played for Sociedad, which wasn't the case with Diaz. Diaz was in and out of the Milan team, at certain intervals. But Kubo was, a shooting starter for these guys, and so it seemed like the team, they really trusted him, and they built a team that is that includes him in the in the as a main attacking proponent of the team. So I think this is why Kubo would I most likely prefer to stay there, and also for us, it's finances just make sense to bring back Diaz, I think.
Yeah, for me, it's like not even about the finances. Of course, it did make a lot of sense to bring in Brahim instead. Uh, but the fact of the matter is, like exactly like you said, last season he was blowing hot and cold. I would say he was even blowing cold most of the time. And I feel like that's because he hadn't figured out that final ball, or just he was like the only play that he knew how to make was he put his face down. He used to dribble the ball, and then even if there were
Yeah.
2 3 defenders against him, he would still try to make it, and then he would lose the ball. And he was weak in defense as well, especially in a team like Mallorca. You have to defend in order to earn your spot in the team, and he just wasn't able to do that. Feel like at Sociedad right now he doesn't need to contribute as much in defense, so which is
Yeah.
why he's like thriving a bit more. He's got a lot less on his shoulders right now, so he can express himself better. But this season so far, I feel like he's taken a step up that we didn't see from him last season, which is that he has figured out that final ball and he has figured out a bit of composure in the final third.
Yeah, well, actually, that's the thing, Jacob. Similar to the claims that we've also made with our players, as well. It's the point that it's just 4 games in. Honestly, like I would wait to see 10, 15 games, because let's not forget, even Diaz had this purple patches at Milan as well, where like for like 5, 6 games he was totally unplayable, and then for the next 10 games he literally was invisible. So I will wait to see how this pans out, and also let's not forget about the opposition that Sociedad has played as well. It's not like they've played the wall beaters, and this is where it matters the most, like as Hassan was pointing out, against a player like Danny Carvalho. Obviously, okay, even if this is not the big Carvalho anymore, but it's against Carvalho still at the Bernabeu, so you can deliver the goods under the most extreme, harshest spotlights ever, So this is the question, this is when it matters the most, at least when you come to the concept of a team like Real Sociedad. So, until we see him being able to do this, then, because, for example, I mentioned earlier, like Martin Odegaard, like, I mean, obviously, like, everyone is going to have their preferences, but I think anyone who has a bit of an idea about football knows that Odegaard has done it for the past 2 years against the greatest oppositions on, yeah, you can talk about them choking the title or like there or whatever you want to talk about, but the point is, he's delivered consistently over the last 18 to 24 months. You understand? We can say that about Kubo yet. You understand? So I think just watching and see how he develops. That's why I say, like, the next six to 18 months might be really important. Because we might get to see like what's gonna happen, and obviously for the next 6 to 18 months as well, I think our team also is going to be undergoing a lot of
Yeah,
evolution.
Farooq, like your audio is like acting up right now. It was acting up every now and then. Now it's just not even legible. Maybe check your
Oh,
connection.
really?
Yeah, it's like whenever you're a bit more louder, it's very clear. I guess it's just a matter of
I
speaking
should
out
be a
more.
bit more louder. You're saying?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I feel like Google Meets is
Oh,
acting out on us. It's because maybe it doesn't recognize it as dialogue when you're a bit more silent, and it just muffles it.
I see. I
Yeah.
see. I see. I see.
Anyways, yeah, man.
Okay, then.
Totally
Yeah,
agreed with your points. It remains to be seen, but I guess that's a good segue into like seeing what kind of games that Sociedad has played so far, right? So right now they are eighth in the league. They initially to start the season off, they had three straight draws. Finally, they got a win, and they got the win against Granada. So the previous games was against Girona, Celta Vigo, and Las Palmas. The only bananas peel there is Girona, to be honest.
yeah, and actually they drew against Girona as well. That's quite interesting.
Yeah,
That's quite interesting. And
yeah,
actually,
but
the thing, like how they eventually exploded. From having scored just and below one game, an average of 1 goal per game for the first 3 games, and just exploded against Granada with 5 goals. That's also might be something interesting to look out for.
yeah, definitely, man. And in the last game, they scored 5 goals and conceded three. So a totally fun game. I recommend everyone go watch it. I mean, the football wasn't that great from Granada, but uh, some of the goals were nice. There were a lot of goals, 8 goals in a single match. I'll take that.
Yeah, but that's the thing, actually. So for a team like Sociedad, this year they have the added, troubles of playing in Europe, especially in the Champions League, to be exact. So it's gonna be really, really curious to see how they will manage this. But the point is, going with this first 4 games, literally all of this should be, as you said, like maybe Girona is, or I don't know how good Celta is, with Celta and what's he called, Rafa Benitez as well. It's going to be an interesting team to look out for. What I kind of expected more from Sociedad, and these 4 fixtures are fixtures that they should be, and not 3 draws and 1 victory isn't just good enough for the aspirations that they have. So I believe that they need to eventually improve on this, honestly, because it's going to be a very, very long season for them.
Yeah, and I feel like this is one of their last seasons. Like I feel like all of their players are just hitting the right spot. Some of them are coming into form, especially with Kubo. We're not sure if that's going to continue, but they have players like Zubimendi, Mikel Merino,
Yeah.
who's having a really good run of games with Spain as well. They have Zubeldia, Lenormand. All of them, they're kind of hitting their peak slowly. And then Oyarzabal, of course, hit his peak already. And we're not going to get to see him a lot more in the coming years. But still, like, I feel like this is one of the seasons where Sociedad really have to put their foot down and win some matches, try to win that Champions League spot again.
Yeah, man, totally. You totally, hit the nail on the head, honestly. Like, Sociedad have a very interesting core of, Spanish players, Lenormand, although I think he was French and then he became Spanish, I think. And then, you talk about Zubelda, Zubimendi is a player that actually I was really, really curious why, none of the big hitters, actually, especially from the Premier League, made a run for him, considering, how much they value defensive midfielders in the Premier League these days. So he's one player to also, that it really picks my eye, and you mentioned Marino as well, really, really good player, honestly. But yeah, they are still missing David Silver, and, they are playing, Oyarzabal as a false nine or something like that in that vein. So it's gonna be quite interesting, honestly. Like Sociedad has always been a team that, played really, really free flowing, interesting football, So this is one of the reasons why, you see they concede a lot of goals as well, because they try to play, expansive football. So it's not easy, to maintain that balance there. Oh yeah, man. I mean, it's gonna be very interesting to see how they cope in the Champions League, because they actually have quite a really straightforward group. I think with Inter and Benfica, if I'm not mistaken, and then Salzburg, which is
That's right.
basically it's not even a Europa League group. It's even a UEFA Conference League group. So
Come on, man,
this
Farooq. You
is
can't be in Milan and spot this bullshit with Inter in the group,
come on. I mean, the point is like you're looking at Salzburg and Sociedad in a Champions League group, man. I mean, come on. I don't know, but the point is, as the Italians always say, like they always make their lives difficult for themselves. So like you wouldn't be surprised, Inter going to the last day of the of the Champions League and still in the result to qualify to get out of the group. But I would really want Sociedad to represent Spain really well, and hopefully
Mhm.
they can get some good results here and there and move on to the last stage of the Champions League, man.
Yeah. Did you know Kieran Tierney? He plays for Sociedad. It's the first time that I've noticed him.
Yeah, actually, I learned about that. I think he was almost a deadline. He wasn't a deadline day move. He was just close to the end of the. He was a late transfer window move though. He joined because right now like Arsenal actually also added I think Justin Timber as well from Ajax to the team, and
Right.
Timber are literally across the four positions of the defense. Actually, he's so versatile. So I think that kind of pushed Tierney down the pecking order already. He was behind Zinchenko already, and with the role that this fullbacks play for Arteta, where of a fullback becomes a midfielder, like just similar to what Pep did with John Stones and all that. So I think for Tierney he wasn't because I don't know if you follow Scottish football as well, but in the national team, yeah,
Oh, wait, Farooq, you're like kind of cutting off now as well.
he plays as a left-sided centre back for Scotland, actually. So I think for that reason, maybe they actually also look at him as a potential sub for also not just the fullback, but also as a potential for sub for the centre back as well. So, but Kieran Tierney is one player that like I don't think he's a fantastic player that Arsenal thought they bought from Celtic, but I think he's just one of those engines that you need on the team. Like he's a very very hard-working player, but like yeah, I wouldn't be too surprised if he goes on to have a very successful career at Sociedad.
Yeah, man. Let's see how that goes. Apart from that, yeah, we can touch upon Bryce Mendes as well. Like he had a really good season last year, and I feel like he's the workhorse of his team. He just bombs up and down in the midfield, whereas Zubimendi he kind of stays back, maybe joins the defense as well with Merino just running the game. And it's gonna be so much crucial for us not to get hit in transitions where Bryce Mendes is just carrying the ball up the pitch.
Exactly, man. You mentioned this a lot. I think those, the it will be the transitions is gonna be very very important because I think with players like Kubo and Oyarzabal, it's gonna be really really key that we make sure that that midfield, as you mentioned, with Mendes and with Merino and eventually Zubimendi as well, we need to make sure that if we lose the ball because most likely that's what's gonna happen. We're gonna have a lot of the ball. At least that's what we expect. We're gonna have a lot of the ball, and if eventually we lose it, that breakaway is gonna be really important. But for me, that's one of the things that actually I'm not too worried about because I believe we have really hardworking four players that literally can run their lungs off, and it's gonna be difficult. Like I'm not saying it's a piece of cake, but at least they're gonna really put in the shift to help support the fullbacks, which is something that we have seen a lot this year. Like especially when you look at the side of Frank Garcia as well. Like we see a lot of support from the midfielders. To kind of support that and fill in the empty gaps and empty spaces that exist. So I think one of the one of the perks of playing the diamonds is it gives you that chance, at least in my opinion, to not get overrun in the midfield.
Yeah, the midfield and everything is gonna be a key matchup. As long as we stop Kubo and Co from scoring any goals, I feel like we have it in ourselves to edge out a win or just score a tap in or whatnot or a rebound. Because that's
Yeah,
I,
I mean, you're saying stopping Kubo scoring, bro. Like, I mean, it's the curse, man. I mean, let's not forget what happened, with
oh
in the
man,
first game with, I think was it which game was it? Was
Almeria,
it against
Almeria, and
Almeria?
then Getafe as well.
Exactly. So that's the thing, like I think against Almeria it was even just 3 minutes in and it was a goal. So, we and former players, it's literally just it's a curse that it's been there hasn't been lifted yet. So I wouldn't be too surprised to see Kubo score, but the point is we should just be able to eventually see out the game in a victorious way, even if Kubo doesn't score like thereof. Well, yeah, so that is gonna be, I think the first real test for our team, honestly.
Yeah.
Even though if they, in the greatest of form, considering that with just one victory in the past 4 games, so yeah, it's gonna be quite interesting to see.
Yeah, the thing for me that scares me is that we know Arribas can play. We know, but they're not world beaters though, and they weren't in that hot of a run of form. But this time Kubo is like raring to go, and even against Germany, he had those 2 assists, and it's just he's in such a red hot streak right now. And just the fact that he's a former Madridista, gives him uh, like ultimate powers. I wouldn't be surprised to even see him score a hat trick or whatnot.
Oh man. That's a bit of a stretch, man. That's a bit of a stretch. I mean, this is where Ashik should come and make his bet now that okay, Kubo scores a hat trick and But yeah, I totally get and understand what you're saying, honestly. But in the matchup with Carval, like for most of the times, like Carval always tries to come clutch, especially against when people give him no chance or when he has to play against this kind of red in players that are in red hot form, something like this. So I kind of will put my money a bit on Carval. Honestly, this time around, I hope because mostly I always bet against Carval, but this time around I feel like based on his performances so far, I kind of want to put my money on Carval, and I believe that he should be able to deal with Kubo. I think I'm not too sure, but I want to put my money on Carval to deal with Kubo.
Definitely, man. If it was again Fran Garcia on that side and Kubo, I would have been more skeptical. But Carvajal with the run of form he's in, I feel like he's got it in the bag.
Well, that's the thing. Like, don't you think though? Like, these guys can just spin the whole thing and go with Kubo against Fran? Because I think like Bar and Shia, if I'm not mistaken, in the last game also played, right?
Yep.
Or am I mistaken? Because I think
No, you're right. Barancia is like the more pacey one. I feel like Kubo, he takes more
the
time.
more tricky.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, we might have Kubo against Fran Garcia rather than Danny Carval actually.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Oh man,
it's gonna be quite interesting to see, like with Fran as well. That's also a good test for his development in the team as well.
Yep.
Well, again, it's a it's a defensive unit. It's not a single defender. It's a whole defensive unit, so it will take a colossal effort from the whole defense and the midfield, to able to to be able to get something done, to be able to at least tame the beast that Kubo is promising to become, at least for this game. But yeah, man, I mean, eventually it's gonna be down to can we also take our chances, because I feel like okay, this is the thing, we're always gonna consider that 1-2 chances, and obviously with our goalkeeping situation where we have the world best keeper in the post, so we are always bound to concede that 1-2 goals, but then the question is like, can we take our chances up top? That's the thing. I don't know if we will be able to take our chances or like thereof, so this is just a question.
Remains to be seen, man. And I feel like, this is totally an unknown game because this is kind of the first big opponent, Champions League caliber opponent that we're meeting this season, and it can either go really well and then the team can, hit a really good run of form, just take confidence from this, or it can go like batshit crazy.
Exactly, man. Especially when you're coming back from the international break, everyone has been away with their national teams, and it's different emotions, different feelings. You're traveling for hours and hours. You're coming back all tired and wasted, especially the guys from South America. So it's not easy, especially so because of this. Like there might be a bit lack of fluency for the first 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, and then hopefully by then like they get into the rhythm, and it's just business as usual.
Right. I guess before we like go into Real Madrid part of things, we can maybe touch up upon Barcelona. Have you gotten a glimpse of their new wonder kid?
No, I didn't.
And Lamine Yamal, that's all these Barca accounts are shilling.
I heard he scored for Spain, right?
Yeah, he scored for Spain. Was a good goal. He had a neat finish.
I saw. I think he was like, I saw that goal. I saw a replay of that goal, but I haven't seen. I haven't seen him play. Honestly, I didn't watch Barcelona at all this season. Not even a single game so far. Well, yeah, man. Hopefully, let's see. I mean, if they continue, really good games. I mean, at least when the Champions League rolls around, we can watch them a bit and see how what they do and what they don't do, and we can see. Well, yeah, that's the thing. Like, I mean, we once upon a time heard about the fact that Ansu Fati was the next Messi, and Ansu plays for Brighton right now.
Yeah, that's true. Right now, people are saying his ceiling is like a very healthy Dembele. But let's see if his health holds up and he just can sustain this run of form. Because for me, his X factor is the fact it's not just his dribbling. He has really good close control, but he can't like really beat for 5-6 players like Ousmane can. The difference is that he can put in a really killer ball. It's like he put such a curve and whip on each of those balls. Like it's almost Messi like, to be honest.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, these are the things, like the thing about these people is always, about that mentality and durability. I mean, we saw with Ansu as well. The point is that the man got injured 3 times, I think, if I'm not mistaken, 4 times. I don't know. This is the thing, like, when you keep getting injured at that young age, it's really messes up with everything. But then again, it's gonna be about how much pressure they put on this player as well. I think by giving Ansu Fati the number 10 and all that, it was unnecessary. It was uncalled for. Like Ansu had not, done a lot to justify that. You just put that much pressure on the player, and you kind of, and especially with the situation Barcelona in right now, they're literally calling for that, Messiah, for that, next savior to come and save them. But I find it very ironic that, the player that saved them a lot is the player that actually crippled them as well, because we all know how much Messi's contract was reported to be. If Messi did not have such a contract, Barcelona right now is still a healthy team. You understand? So I don't know, man. It's just a double-edged sword. All about this things. Well, it just makes you appreciate even more. What Florentino Perez has been doing with Real Madrid. Honestly, especially when you consider the fact that we've had a player that is arguably a bigger, maybe even a bigger name than Messi was in Cristiano Ronaldo, because as we know, the social presence that Cristiano has, Messi does not. So, even with that, like, you're still here in healthy finances, and you don't have to find, the next Cristiano, the next them. Or, I mean, come on, it's even the next Dembele. Like, what did Dembele achieve in his life that he's the next Dembele?
Man, when he was fit at certain parts of the season, he was a world beater at Dortmund. He could beat any person. He was a nightmare for every fullback. He was two-footed, and he fell off when he came to Barcelona. But last season, he had a really good patch.
Bro, calm down. Everybody is a world beater when it doesn't matter the most. The point is what does that lead to? Like, I beat, okay, you dribble from here to Nigeria, okay, and then what did you achieve with your life? Nothing. Then what's the point of dribbling?
Oh boy, I mean, yeah, man, I can't
It's
argue with
not
that.
about, like, yeah. I said this, once upon a time, that I believe that Dembele was the most talented player in the league if he could remain fit and motivated. You understand? I believe that there is a lot there, but the point is that what sets apart exceptional players and just the average players is that ability to turn it up when it matters the most, to show up week in, week out. That's why also I have a problem with Mendy in the sense that, okay, people say, oh, it's not his fault, like, he's getting injured. Like, come on. How many times do you remember Marcelo getting injured, like in the key games? Yeah, Marcelo had his own physical issues as well, but the key games, he was there.
Yep.
He was there. Dani Alves, how many times did we hear him get injured when the games were not there? These are players that made names on the most, harshest environment, under the most pressure. You understand? They were there for those games.
Yeah.
But then, honestly, that's the thing again. I will go back to that. Availability is the best ability. If you're not available, I'm sorry, then you're useless to me. So that's the thing with Dembele as well. Like, availability was the best ability. He was a fantastic, phenomenal footballer. But when you're not there for half of the game, then what use are you to the team?
Yeah. Exactly right. All right. I guess we can talk about players who perform at the highest level. We can talk about our players. So we had a few interesting quotes from both Cruz and Modric coming into this game over the international break. So the first one with Toni Kroos, it's not really something huge and groundbreaking. I'm just gonna read it out. So he said, "I don't really like stats. I don't believe they mean that much. I don't need confirmation that I had X percentage of accurate passes to know if I played well or not."
Yeah, valid point. It's a very valid point. Honestly, like, that's the thing. Like, I know Toni Kroos has a lot of free time. That's why he's just talking and talking, because there is nothing else he's gonna see, especially at the international break. Well, that's a very, very accurate statement. Because the point is, not until the social media exploded. After in the late 2010s. Like, I mean, I will guarantee you there was no one who started watching football because, oh yeah, Andre Pirlo had 100% passing accuracy. We didn't give a shit about that when we were younger. I don't know. I'm very sure it was the same thing for you as well, Jacob. We just only watched. Wow, this was our expression. We weren't there pressing our phone and searching what is Squawker telling. Oh, this person has. That's the thing, like every single game now you see there's a new stat. oh, this person is the first person to do this since the person who did this in 1990. What's my business with that?
Yeah.
What's my business with that? We just need to go and watch the game, and even the players know this. I'm just gonna refer a bit to a player from Chelsea. I don't know if you know him, John Obi Mikel. He was Nigerian. He had one of the highest passing accuracies in Premier League history.
What? Okay.
But then, what does that mean?
I don't know. What
Then
does that mean? Was he like a very safe passer? Was he a CDM?
the point is, he was a defensive midfielder who was asked to destroy shit, but he wasn't influencing the game.
Right.
But he had a very high passing accuracy. But he wasn't actually influencing the game.
Okay, but let me ask
At
you
least
this, Farooq. Yeah. So a lot of people say, like, especially people who haven't seen him play, they just refer to him as like a side passing merchant, right? And that's so much farther than the truth. And then at that point, the only argument that we as Madrid fans can make, at least what I've been using so far, is that you don't even have to watch the game. If you choose not to watch the game, you can look at the stats. So he has by far the most number of passes into the final third. He's not just making these insane accuracy with his passing, with just passing side to side. He just progresses the ball up the field, and he's so crucial to how many games we win.
Actually, when people actually make the argument about Cruz being a pass merchant and all that, I actually just stop arguing with them, because I understand that like this is not someone I want to have a discussion with. Because there's either two things. One thing is that he just opens Squawka or whatever the shit's app gives them, the stats, and he reads the stats from there. Or he watches football, which is even worse. He watches football and he doesn't understand what he's saying. You understand? So that's just either two people. So having discussion with these two people, it's not. The point is, we are not, experts in also like analyzing. At least for myself, I'm not expert in analyzing what football is, or what it isn't, or what the tactics or what it isn't. I always say this: football is an entertainment. You understand? And if you see a player that performs and entertains you, you feel satisfied. You understand? And if someone says to me like, "Okay, yeah, Cruz is just a passing sideways and backwards," then okay, yeah, go with it. Because these are the people that also believe that that the earth is flat as well. So there is no need to have discussions with them. Yeah, it's a rectangle, of course. Yes, sir. It's even a square, not a rectangle. All the sides are equal. If that's what makes you sleep at night, man, it's fine. But honestly, like I feel like when with those people, you totally understand that either they don't watch football at all, or they don't have even the most basic understanding of football. Or actually, there's a third option, which is that like they're just haters, like they're rival fans, and they will never exactly just trolling as well. So that's why I said like there is no point in having discussions with this kind of people, honestly. But anyone who actually understands football, appreciates and understand that a dying breed like Toni Kroos, and that's the thing, they're dying breeds actually. I do feel like we would find the next Modric and all that. Okay, when I mean next Modric, not exactly next, but like we will find a player who has a very similar profile as Luka Modric has. But I think players like Toni Kroos, like really, like they're a dying breed at least. Because right now, I don't think I can, think off the top of my head of anybody that I can think of,
That's true. He is so elite at his thing, like it's incomparable. I would even say he's been like the best passer in world football, like just throughout. It's not just in the last decade. That's how good he is.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like it's like the old argument of who is the best player of all time? Is it Pele? Is it Maradona? Is it Ronaldo? Is it whatever? Come on. If you ask me Benzema or Raul, for sure I would choose Benzema, because Benzema shaped how I watch football. Raul might be a better player, but I didn't pick Raul. How do you expect me to choose Raul? Like this is someone I did not see. Yep. You understand? So this is why I always find it interesting when I find people my age going like, but yeah, Maradona was the best. Stefano was this. I'm like, bro, what are you talking about? I agree, you watch all the footages that exist, yes. But Jacob, the point is this: you sit down and you watch the Decima, the emotions you get from the comeback with Ramos. Do you think you would tell me right now that Baresi was a better defender than Ramos? Fuck you, bro. Definitely not.
Fuck no.
Definitely not. I really don't care. But the point is, because this is the person you watch, this is the person you attribute your emotions to, you understand? This is the person that made you understand what football looks like. But then if you watch just the highlights, like you don't get you watch, for example, I watch a lot of highlights of Ronaldo, like the Brazilian Ronaldo, and like I'm like, wow. But it's an empty emotion, you understand? Because there was nothing, at least there's nothing at stake when I watch this, these things. And like it's not like I am supporting him or I'm a fan of him, you understand? But when you see Cristiano, the hat trick against Wolfsburg, or like Gareth Bale's goals in the Champions League, and in the finals, Marcelo's stuff, and I mean, come on, who's gonna come and tell me that? Oh yeah, but there was a greater fullback than Marcelo at Real Madrid. Yeah, maybe people regard Roberto Carlos better than Marcelo, but for me, if you ask me who is the best fullback at Real Madrid history, for sure, I'm going to mention to you the person that I've seen, the person that has shaped my memory. You understand? So this is the reason why when you ask, okay, who is the best passer? Obviously, because I have seen Kroos. Obviously, I'm going to mention that it's Kroos. You understand? This is just the thing. So it's always about that. I just personally I believe that emotions are really important. Like it's not just about what you watch, and this is like it's unless there's someone who has seen two generations, then you can be objective about that. But personally, for me, like it's always gonna remain. The person that gives me the most emotion and entertainment is gonna be the person that I would regard as the best in this position.
Definitely, man. I hear you. Like you're straight out spitting facts. And yeah, maybe once I'm older, I'll be able to compare Toni Kroos and whatever player is playing when I'm in my 50s.
Exactly.
All
You
right.
tell your grandkids, oh, you guys missed. We had the pass master.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to another Toni Kroos quote. Like you said, he had a lot of free time. He was putting out a lot of tweets, especially with all of the shit that was happening around in the German team. But I feel
Yeah.
this particular quote we discussed in the group yesterday, it was a bit personal. It was closer to home, the way we kind of hinting out on the way we play, or the way we started to play at least from the end of last season to this season. So he says, it is suggested that those who ran a lot played a good game. I see it the other way around. The more I run, the worse I play. Because the more we run behind, the worse we defend, and the less control of the ball we have. Is the man like straight out
Yes.
spitting facts, or do we have to like take this with a pinch of salt? Is he like idealizing the game too much?
Bro, the point is this. Honestly, if we sit down here and start talking about the fact that actually, let me just say this to you. Actually, I don't know if you remember, I think it was Maldini or Baresi, but one of the Italian defenders, because we always equate defending to Italians. Either Maldini or Baresi once said if he had to tackle, he has made a mistake.
Yeah. I
Right.
think that was Maldini.
Now what happens is okay, let's just keep it safe for work. There's no need to keep
It's not
it
safe for
insulting
work. Like
people.
this content is not suitable for children. So do or say what you
You
want.
know, people, some fuckers sit there and just make a stat. Oh, he had 10 tackles attempted, 12 tackles completed. Come on, like who cares about the tackles that he has? The point is being in the right position at the right time that you don't even need to tackle.
Yeah.
And this is the point that Toni Kroos is actually trying to make as well, as the fact that people run, which this actually is epitomized. Actually, it's all this propaganda actually started in the Premier League, and it started with Klopp.
Yeah.
Honestly, it started with Klopp because Klopp literally had 4 athletes in the team, and they won the Premier League and the Champions League.
Yeah.
And even now, you can see even Pep has adopted that in his team. Like he wants workers. Why are they not letting Bernardo Silva go? Why is Kyle Walker still playing for them? Kyle Walker, in my opinion, doesn't have any technique. He's just one of the fastest footballers that exists. Bernardo Silva he has literally a rocket up his ass. He can just keep doing whatever he wants to do. Why do we like Fede Valverde as well? To some extent, why do we like as well Camavinga as well? These are the things, like you look at these players, like right now, and you see they just keep running, covering the ground. There is no technique. And then Moses Caicedo is 120 million or whatever it is that they paid for him. And you see a player like Toni Kroos and he's like, oh yeah, but he doesn't have the legs, to borrow Sune's words, into the stuff. He doesn't have the legs, oh, he can't do it anymore, like it's a young man game, and it's this and it's that. And as I just go back to, the thing, actually, when I saw the quote, I would just go back, to the point is that as long as you're Usain Bolt in these days, they will pay 100 million for you. That's just it. As long as you can run fast, cover the grounds, be the, have 12 kilometers every game or 14 kilometers or whatever it is that they measure, that's just it. Because I used to remember, like honestly, like while I was much younger, when we watched football, like we didn't care about he covered this amount of kilometers, this is the distance he covered, this is that, we just enjoyed what we enjoyed, Because back then you look at the players you enjoy the most are the laziest one, you know. Let's not even mention players like Dino, you know, you mention players like Rubinho, you know. You have the Portuguese Deco, you know, we had Luis Figo, you know, like these are players that, you know, you see. I mean, for example, let's talk even like Michel Ballack as well, you know, Bastian Schweinsteiger. Like, these are not the fastest players,
Yep.
you know, but these are players that define generations.
I feel
But right
like
now, you know,
okay, for like
yeah,
maybe stop it either. Like okay, I feel like this goes back to the reason why Zidane preferred to play Lucas Vasquez more in like these bigger games instead of Bale. Of course, like you can and maybe that's not like a accurate or one is to one comparison, but my point is I feel like the game has progressed too much in terms of physicality that it's it doesn't even matter anymore if you are in the right place at the right time. You just can't be with the way the pace of the game has progressed. It's like you said, it's a dying breed, and once they are all out, I feel like the game will move on, and there won't be a need for these kind of players anymore because the game is played at such a high pace. These guys with their intellect, they just can't be there at the right place anymore because they just can't get there.
I totally agree with you. But that's, you know, that's just the domino effect, right? Like the point is this: when the opposition team has just runners on the pitch, if you have someone like even right now, players like, you know, great technicians like Andrea Pirlo, I believe even now he will struggle as well, you know. But that's not a shade on his ability, but rather, as you mentioned, you know, the direction that the sport is going in. If the other team has 11 runners, you know, and you're having Kroos, Modric, and Andrea Pirlo on the pitch, what's gonna happen? They're just gonna overrun you.
Yep.
It's not about the fact that, you know, you're you know, Cruz and Morris. No, you're right as well. Like this is the path that the game is going towards right now. It is true. It is the path that it's going towards, and that's why, you know, we also admit and acknowledge the fact that okay, like for Tony Kroos, like this might be the end, or even not this season, next season will be the end, because his abilities, and as I mentioned earlier, he's a dying breed as well. Because now they just coach you to run and run and run.
They coach you to become system players, yeah.
Exactly. They coach you to just, you know, become, I wouldn't even use the word system players. They coach you just to become all rounders. Because that's the thing, like when you look at even like a player like Jude Bellingham as well, he's an all rounder, you understand?
Yeah.
He's a player that, you know, will fulfill the box to box, will fulfill the 10, will fulfill the 8, you know. Similar to Fede Valverde as well. He's someone that will play on the wing, on the midfield, you know, as you know, centrally as well.
And don't
So
even
these
get
are the things
started
that
on Kamavinga, man. Like
so this is the thing, you know, like they just coach you to become all rounders. You can even see like as well with players like Declan Rice as well, you know, with players like Moses Caicedo as well. Like these are the trends that we have in midfielders right now. You know, they're not necessarily specialist six, they're not specialist eights as well. You understand? They're just a build in between both of them.
yeah.
So that's actually what's, you know, that's how the game is going, and it's so unfortunate because I always believe that, you know, football is an entertainment. Obviously, it's the, you know, we're gonna, the definition of that entertainment is gonna change. But you know, it was always fun, you know, to watch technicians, even if they were an opposition or opposing team or whatever they were. You know, well, I remember, you know, I when I started watching football, you know, it's Roman Riquelme at Villarreal as well. Man, the man was a fucking monster as well. You know, a really really, you know, good Argentinian player. But you know, now we just shift there and you see, I don't know, man. Honestly, it's just so interesting to see how, you know, because the point is we watch these great technicians, right? And now we can literally see the evolution, rather, you know, that evolving, that okay, like players are becoming less technical and more physical or athletic, let's say, you know. So yeah, that's the thing. Like eventually, this is how the game is going, and also like, you know, this in those, I don't, let's not say industrialization, but like, you know, this advent of technology and internet actually doesn't help it as also, because after every game, the first thing you bring up is the stats.
Stats and the
After
mistakes.
every
Like
game,
every single mistake is amplified. Let's say Cruz forgets to run. That's gonna be on Twitter. It's gonna get 200 more likes than the fact that Cruz had 97% pass accuracy or he made that assist.
and that's the thing, you know, especially because like a player like Cruz is not a player that scores a lot of goals and stuff like that, you know. So like for him, you know, as I said, like that's why it's really important to watch what he does on his, like, you know, the way he sets the tempo of the game is really really important, you know, because unlike strikers, you know, where you can have uh, goals and assists and, you know, flashy moments and stuff like that, like Cruz is not the most flashy player, so like, you know, because of that, like he doesn't get the credit that he deserves, honestly. But when you run, people notice that you run. You know, this is the thing. But unfortunately for him, he's not that kind of player, you know. But I do believe that with time, when eventually, you know, he leaves the game, like he's gonna get, you know, even more respect than he currently is getting, because it's criminal, you know. we give all the, even we Real Madrid fans, we give all the flowers to Luka, but we never actually, sit back to appreciate, the person or rather the player that Toni Kroos is actually.
Definitely. All right, I guess that wraps up the quotes and all of the happenings from the international break.
Oh,
We,
really? He just has two quotes? Come on, man. I think Toni
okay,
Kroos has more than.
I feel like we were like running close to the 1 hour mark, which is why I was choosing to ignore the next quote. But okay, let's go. Let's do it. So Luka Modric was saying, Toni Kroos and I don't give up, even though we are aware that the end of the story is near. It's a natural thing. So they are saying that they're going to be fighting for their starting spot this season, especially in the coming weeks. I feel like they're both a bit annoyed that they lost their starting position, and they're definitely going to fight to win it back.
Yeah, I do believe that, bro. I definitely believe that, eventually when, the chips are down, when we come to the tail end of the season, or like rather when we come to, the key games, I believe that these guys are gonna be, monumental players. They're gonna be very important. I think as we discussed the other time, I do believe that, like when it comes to key games, one of them is gonna start and one of them is gonna be on the bench. So I do believe that eventually, like one of them is gonna start being the starting lineup. Who that will be, honestly, I don't know yet, but I do believe, that they can win back that one starting spot.
Yeah, man. I guess this is a good segue into discussing our lineups because first question: are you expecting to see one or both of Toni Kroos and Modric?
Yeah, man, I'm actually expecting to see that because all these guys have all gone for the international break, so I expect maybe Tony Cruz actually starts this game because he's well rested and refreshed. And when you consider like the travels that Federer already has to do as well, I think that's a lot of traveling. So I think maybe he might be the rested guy. I don't know. Just having a hunch here.
And we have to capitalize on Tchouameni's good run of form. Even when France lost against Germany, I feel like Tchouameni was one of the bright spots.
No, actually, I didn't see the games. Well, I mean, if that's the thing, like because Chouameni is one of the players that actually is not replaceable on the team. At least this is what they want it to be with him.
Mhm.
Like there's no one that can replace him. So I think because of that, like he's just gonna continue in that role. That's what I think. So that's why I feel like Freddie is gonna be the one to make way for one of Kroos or Modric. But I think most likely Cruz because, as I said, he was fully rested. But yeah, Modric might also, just come in. The man is just, 38 years old.
Just 38, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, and of course, you're saying Bellingham has to play, yeah? Where else would the goals come from?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, if he's in a purple patch, with getting goals, I think he needs that continuity as well to, be able to at least also because he needs the rhythm because I genuinely believe that, he's not in form yet. He's gonna get in form where we're gonna, see him dominate matches, which is something that hasn't happened yet. Because at least for me, I wasn't in the business of buying Bellingham to score goals. I was in the business of buying Bellingham to dominate games. You understand? So I think he's gonna, grow into that role and eventually dominate games. And even if the goal
Do,
dries, who cares?
do you actually feel
Eventually,
like
what he has.
when you are playing in Bellingham's position, you can actually dominate the game? Of course, like it gives you a higher chance to score, but can you actually run with the ball? Can you actually make plays happen through you when you're playing at the basically at the striker position?
That's the thing, actually. That because he's the farthest player, at least that's what they want him to be. But now because Vinicius is out, I think he Joselu is gonna be the farthest player on the pitch. So I think that change in personnel actually would allow Bellingham to be able to dictate some things. Be able to find out plays and run plays and make plays happen. So yeah, I think that can happen eventually. I believe that will eventually happen.
Mm. Right. Yeah, I mean, I agree, man. That's not. It's not like we have a lot of options in midfield, but this is going to be our strongest midfield, especially with cruising in it. And against Sociedad, we're gonna need his ability to pass and create chances,
Yeah, very valid point.
right? And you want to cover the forward line or
Yeah, man. I mean,
makeshift forward line.
yeah, I mean, our forward line, we have no other option but to play Rodrigo and, Jose Lomatu. Like, these are the two players that we have. Like, who else do we have? I don't know. Is there any other person? There is no other person to play in the forward line, right? So, because even when you play Brahim Diaz, then this is, I don't know, I guess Diaz suits that position as well. So, it's quite interesting to see how that will go. But yeah, I mean, there is nothing to talk about there. It's just Rodrigo and Osilumato, and I hope like Rodrigo, eventually gets onto the goals as well, because we need him to also, get into the scoring form, especially with Vinicius out right now. Like you just can't rely on a player like Jude to keep scoring goals. Like this is uncharacteristic form, so I really would, want Rodrigo to start chipping in with the goal at least so they can ease the burden on Jude Bellingham right now.
Definitely, man. I feel like he's just lost his shooting boots, for the moment. But he's
Yep.
doing all the other things really well, and it's just a matter of when it clicks, it will click, and he will get us the goals.
Yeah, man, I totally agree with you, honestly, 100%. Because for me, like, I feel like this is gonna be Rodrigo's breakout season. This is what I genuinely feel deep down my, heart. I feel like he's gonna have a breakout season. I'm thinking 20 goals, 20 assists, kind of, contribution, 40 goals, assists, goal,
Vinicius level,
goal and
yeah.
assist. Exactly, Vinicius level kind of thing. I do believe, because he has that in his arsenal, honestly. But yeah, let's see, man. Hopefully he can, just get started with that as soon as possible.
Yeah. I guess with that, we can go to the defense. For me, of course, Carvajal has to start. We have no other options in CBs. Maybe Nacho can come on. I don't know. But I feel like since these players got a bit more rest, Rudiger did not get any rest. Rudiger and Alaba did. I think Alaba got some rest, and maybe
Okay.
Nacho starts ahead of Rudiger. That could be a possibility.
Yeah, exactly, man. Exactly, like that can be a possibility, to start Nacho, because as well he's well rested. Because as I mentioned, the international breaks messes up with a lot of, the fluency that exists. So like, having players who are well rested, and also, players that are already rested and more fresh, I think it's gonna, be better. And also he's the captain Nacho, so just starting him there as well, is and obviously the players, trust him and respect him as well. So, then as we always mention, like he's the model of consistency, even if he has a bad game, he's still a six at least, so that's the thing. So yeah. I really am comfortable with having Alaba and Nacho start, and at the fullbacks, yeah, Carval definitely, and because we have no other option, Frank Garcia as well.
Yeah, for Frank Garcia, it's right now kind of a scapegoat here. When things don't go well, we kind of look at him and see he's not getting much production down the wings, and he's getting hung out to dry on defense as well.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like Fran has to understand and adapt to the team, and the team also has to adapt to him. It's a two-way street. It's not just about Fran alone. So I feel like it's all about it's something that both side of of both parties rather have to come to consensus with. And the only way you can understand this is by playing together continuously over and over and over again. I believe that with that continuity and consistency, like he's gonna get a grip of the whole thing and how he needs to play with who and and why. So that's gonna happen eventually. I mean, it's just 4 games in, so like people can cut the man some slack. Honestly, it's unfair to put someone either praise them or bring them down after just 4 games. Like I mean, nobody wins anything after 4 games. Like just wait for 10, 15 games, and we can get an understanding of how the team how the team gels or lack there. So I think that's just the thing.
Yeah, man, I just hope, he doesn't lose his starting spot and, he doesn't have a blunder against any of these upcoming games so that he at least has a chance to show what he's made of rather than just try to put Mendy in and then at the worst time possibly lose Mendy towards the end of the season.
I genuinely, actually, unfortunately, I don't share that sentiment with you, Jacob, because I feel like Mendy is the first team starter. Just like whenever he's fit, he's gonna be there. I just think
Man, like,
unless
the issue with this,
rested.
like, people always say, yeah, Mendy is gonna make the difference in these big games in the Champions League. But he just hasn't shown that in the last couple of years, has he? Like, he has regressed so much from his Zidane days when he was like a defensive stalwart. Like, nothing could get past him. Nowadays, it's like his defense isn't really that good for him to warrant those starting spots.
Well, that's the thing, like Jacob. The thing is that Mendy for the past 18 months has been in and out of the team.
Yeah.
This is the problem. But I believe that if he gets a consistent run, if he's available and gets a consistent run, I believe he's gonna hit that peak again. Honestly, because he's a really, really good defender. But just the thing is that availability is the problem. When you're in and out of the team constantly, or for sure, definitely, like there is no consistency, there is no form. How do you expect to perform? So this is the problem actually. I'm with you on the Mendy thing, because this is why I was totally making the argument throughout the summer. Why spend 100 million plus on a midfielder when you literally have no fullbacks? Fullbacks win new games these days. Fullbacks literally win new games these days. We literally have no fullbacks. You understand? Well, yeah, obviously everyone has their own different perspective and different approaches, but this is what we have right now in the team. We just have to support the team. This is what the team looks like. But I do genuinely believe, if Mendy can find some form, uh, we will be able to get back that defensive stalwart. But obviously the offensive output is going to be so limited as well. So that's the double-edged sword with him. But as you mentioned, the point is if you're not getting that strong defensive performance and already the attacking is zero, then what's the point? I totally understand you. But as I said, I believe with a bit of consistency and playing time, I believe he's gonna get back to that position that he was in the past.
Yeah, as much as I want to, see a lot of these fun attacking plays from a left back, and these Champions League games, man, I just want us to shut up shop and just not worry about our wings too much. We have to worry about it anyways with Carvajal sometimes, but then with Mendy, you always had that sense of calm and felt like nothing could get past him. We're basically safe down that wing.
Bro, shutting our shop is not easy as you think, bro. Like as we saw last year, like we defended on our goal line and we still lost 4 goals.
Yeah.
So that thing, like it's an art. I always say this, like people think like, oh, like he loves just expansive football. No, if you're gonna play like Simeone played or like Mourinho played, for sure, definitely do it, because it means you know your shit. It's an art. But when you get caught in two minds, you're not an attacker, you're not a defender. What's happened with Simeone for the past, around 24 months? He's got these fancy players that cannot do what he wants them to do. He's got some of these defensive players that cannot attack, and then you have a team full of half of them attackers, half of them defenders. What's gonna happen? So that's the thing as well. Like last year, we went to the Etihad and we defended on our goal line, and we didn't know when to step up, when not to step up. So it's an art eventually. As I said, everything is just an art. It's literally poetry in motion, man. So you need to perfect this and understand your rules and all that. Otherwise, like you sit back, you get trashed, bro. As well as we did last year. So that's the thing. Like I'm all for that. That's why when people talk about Zidane is not tactical and all that, I'm be like, bro, did you see Zidane's second stint?
Yeah.
People think it's easy just to do what he did, but honestly, it is not. It is not. It takes a lot of effort and understanding, and explanation for people to actually understand what the coach wants for them. But yeah, man, it is what it is. Let's not turn this into another answer. Whatever.
Yeah. Speaking about it is what it is, like, do you want to talk about Kepa? I feel like he hasn't been tested so far this season. I mean, at least in the last couple of
The
games.
ball best keeper, Kepa.
Yeah,
he's a disaster waiting to happen. That's just the thing. Like, I mean, he's playing for Real Madrid. He's not playing for I don't know, Celta Vigo or something like that. That he has to save 1 million chances in a single game. You understand? But the point is, it's gonna be 1 chance, 1 goal, or 2 chances, 1 goal with Kepa. You understand? So this is the thing. Like, we just have to make sure that we take our chances, because right now we don't have Thibaut. Because I don't think there's a team that was so reliant on a goalkeeper like we are on Thibaut Courtois. I really don't.
That is very true.
Is there?
I feel like our defense has actually stepped up in Thibaut Courtois' absence, because they know if the ball gets through and like a striker gets a clear chance, it's a definite goal. With Courtois, they had that safety net. They're like, even if the striker gets through, it's fine. Thibaut is there.
I mean, the only thing I can remember is the only team I can think comes close is maybe you can remember the time that Barcelona had just Messi and Andre Stegen. I don't know if you can remember
that. That was a really good season for us. Yeah, I remember.
Exactly. It was just Messi scoring, Ter Stegen preventing people from scoring. You understand? So I think that's the only one that comes close. But come on, bro! Like the way we rely so much on Thibaut is insane. That's why like honestly, like I just with Kepa, I am just not expecting anything. Everything is fair game, but the key thing I'm always repeating is that we need to take chances, because we don't have someone to kick them out, so we need to stick them in the back of the net. This is just the team.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, that covers lineup, I guess. Before we let's just go right into predictions, I guess. I don't have anything on my notes to talk about.
Yeah, man. Predictions. Yeah, I mean, I think it's another tight win for Real Madrid, a 2-1 victory, at the Bernabeu.
2-1 victory at the Bernabeu. Yeah, at least this time I don't even like care about how much, if it's a 1-0, 2-1, 3-1. I just don't want to see like a silly goal that we let go, like some pass back that gets intercepted, or Kepa plays a easy ball and it falls right into Kubo's lap. I don't want to see that. I just want to see some neat football, some good defending, so that we can take that forward to like the bigger games.
Imagine, the Kepa has to, imagine like, either Nacho or someone passes the ball to Kepa, and Kepa just controls the ball. And he just wants to take the shot and then he just fixes the shot. But then Kubo just sticks his leg out and hits the ball into the empty.
Bro, you just gave all of our listeners like nightmares for the coming days.
That
Yeah.
would be fucking crazy, bro. That would be fucking crazy, man.
Yeah, I think
I
it's
don't
gonna
know.
be very close as well. But for me, it's gonna be a 1-0. I feel like we're gonna be extra careful with Kubo and just shut up shop and nick a goal somehow, either Joselu or of course Bellingham.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think it's going to be a difficult game. I think it's going to be a really difficult one, but I do believe that we should be able to get the job done as well. So it's going to be a tight game. Maybe not the best game to watch, but I think we should, at least for a Real Madrid fan, maybe for a Sociedad fan, it's quite interesting. Or for a neutral fan, it might be interesting.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
kind of
hopefully.
strange, like Sociedad, they're one of the most funnest teams to watch in La Liga, at least compared to other La Liga teams. Another favorite of mine is Betis. And whenever they
Yeah.
play
Okay.
against us, it's always very, very tight. It's not the expansive football that we used to see because they change up
Yeah.
tactics so much to face up against the likes of Barcelona and Real Madrid.
Real Madrid, exactly. That's very true, actually. That's very true because the point is eventually these guys know that if they go toe to toe with these players, like the quality will, the quality that we have will obviously outshine them. But yeah, I mean, credit to them as you mentioned, for at least trying to, be, expansive and trying something different than what the other 19 or 18 or 17 La Liga teams try to do, which is just shut up shop and hope for the best.
Yeah. I guess that wraps up today's episode. Farooq, remind me, are we still on the lookout for votes for that award or no?
I think it should be closed by now because it's the 14th of September, so I believe like
Right,
it's
right.
already.
Okay. I guess that makes my outro much more easier. Okay. So that about wraps it up, guys. And before you go, the guys who are still here, do remember to smash the like button. And if you're not subscribed yet, do consider coming onto YouTube and hitting subscribe. I'm talking to you, audio platform listeners, from Spotify and Apple Music and whatnot. So yeah, if you get the time, just try to support us. Come on to YouTube, hit the subscribe button. Maybe even catch us on these lives, because when you see it on video, like we have a few slides, you can get a better context of what we're talking about, and it's much more fun if it's live, and it will be nice if you can make it and show us some support. Apart from that, we have some awesome content incoming because of our home game. We're going to be getting some footage from the Madrid, from Bernabeu, and we're going to be posting it as shorts and on our socials, on our Instagram. And shout out to our partners over at Real Madrid Committee as well for supporting us all throughout and helping us to get all of these things out. Okay, I guess that's pretty much it, Farooq. You know what to say.
Hala Madrid!
Hala Madrid.